Hello and welcome into the Eagles Therapy Hotline on this beautiful Tuesday night. We're here to do some group therapy. We're going to talk about, unfortunately, briefly, the game that we just witnessed last night. And then we're going to flush it and we're going to move on to next week. Welcome into the Birds of the Roundtable. I can't do my traditional on this Victory Tuesday because the Eagles somehow managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But we're going to talk about it anyways. Joined by the crew, as always, at Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing tonight?
It's a struggle. The show must continue. I know we're all here. Shane and I were on post game. It was a long day of work, but the grind continues. I'm hitting the panic button, guys, and we're going to talk about it.
All right. Also joined by Ryan Reese. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing?
Tired. Many ways. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Tired.
All right. And also joined by David. Give him a follow at PHL Eagle News. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I think I'm a little more optimistic than everyone else. I feel fine. I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not quite as concerned, but I guess we'll discuss that now.
All right. Well, let's get into it. And we're going to lead off with our big picture takeaway from last night's game against the Falcons. Then we'll talk smaller offensive, defensive takeaways, and then we'll get into the next matchup. So, David, I'll throw it to you first to set the tone with positivity here. What was your big picture takeaway from the collapse last night?
My big picture takeaway is the Eagles tried for a Fangio-style defense for the past 3 years with 3 different defensive coordinators, and now they have the real thing, and the real thing is not much better than the copycats. This is the style of defense that you bring over to the team. This is what was going to happen when you brought him over here. This is the style of defense he plays. He allows a lot of things to go down the field. This is pretty much the type of stunts that he runs up front with the nickel fronts and the run blocking and everything else. This is what you were going to get, and it's built for the offense to score points and for the defense to, give up 20 points and play good in the red zone and make drives take a little longer. This is exactly what they wanted. This is what they got. This is how they got to the Super Bowl in 2022 with Jonathan Gannon playing a somewhat similar scheme. And I don't know. I'm not that shocked by what has transpired through the first 2 weeks with the defense. I think this is exactly what they wanted, and they got what they asked for.
All right. Ryan, I'll throw it to you next. What's your big picture takeaway coming off of this game?
That this defense is a lot worse than I thought. And I knew it was bad, but when you pay a free agent to come in here and essentially you're paying him to replace Hassan Reddick. I see David was so disgusted by this team. He just left. And the man literally can't even touch a quarterback. And we already know he's not good in the run game. So that's not great. This offense is a little confusing. It seems at times that they can't be stopped, and then at times they trip over their own feet. And again, I know it's week 2, and I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm just, again, these are the games that good teams find a way to win, and they didn't. They let it slip, and they did some, there was dumb coaching decisions, but this isn't on Nick. This isn't on those 3 points that everybody wants to say. It's on a lot of other people. So.
All right. Dibes, what's your big picture takeaway from the game?
I think the offense is going to be just fine. I think a lot of people are doom and gloom right now, and rightfully so. But outside of that horrific drop from Saquon, I thought Barkley was really good. I think one of the biggest question marks heading into this year was the play of the interior offensive line with Mekhi Becton and Cam Jurgens. I think those two are getting better and better. In fact, I think Mekhi Becton's starting to look like a Pro Bowler. His run block grade per PFF last year was 56. Through 2 games this year, it's 70.4. And you look at Landon, you look at Juergens, you look at Becton, that trio is starting to, I think, get in a kind of rhythm. In fact, Jalen Hurts is averaging 6 yards per attempt on the ground behind that trio. I thought the Falcons secondary did a great job. I thought Hurts was pretty good overall, like a solid B+. I thought we got to see Jalen kind of utilize the middle of the field for the first time in what feels like forever. Jalen only had 2 turnover-worthy plays last night. He had 4 in week 1. Gotta love that. And I thought Hurts was okay against the blitz. So overall, I liked a lot of what I saw from the Eagles' ground game with Saquon, the offensive line. It just slipped away from them at the end. And that's coaching, that's players, it's everything. And it's a hard pill to swallow here the night after a game like that. This one's going to hurt them, week 17 when we look back.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned throwing over the middle of the field. Jalen Hurts was 11 of 11 passing, targeting the middle of the field with 1 touchdown.
And did you say 11 of 11?
11 of 11 middle of the field between the numbers. So, that's crazy. Technically that's not like between the hashes, but yeah, between the numbers, Jalen Hurts was 11 of 11 passing, 1 touchdown. If I can do the math quickly in my head here, 104 yards and a touchdown on 11 of 11 throwing over the middle. So, I'm going to give a big picture takeaway. I normally just kind of play host on this part, but I haven't got to record with Johnny yet. And so I'm going to talk for a second here too. My big picture takeaway from this game is that football is a game of inches. And when you walk on that razor's edge of every single game coming down to the wire, you end up with stupid losses like this. We're coming up on a calendar year since the last time the Eagles won a football game by more than a possession. A calendar year. Eventually, well, not eventually, because they've lost, 7 of their last 9 games. Those chickens come home to roost, and you cannot consistently play in close games. There's a reason that people, when they forecast win totals, they look at what your record was in 1-possession games last year, and they expect that to regress to the mean. You cannot consistently rely on winning games in that fashion. And you look at the things in this game that could have made it not a close game. I mean, you settle for the field goal after Hurts throws that ball to Devontae Smith at the goal line. It was open. Hurts doesn't get it quite out in front. It allows Jesse Bates to make a play on it. You would still like Devontae Smith to bring that in. That's 4 points off the board. Saquon dropping a pass. You have 9 penalty flags. You don't touch the quarterback for nearly the entire game. Like, all that stuff adds up. And, at the end of the day, when you want to play these 3-point games, these 6-point games, because you just don't go dominate anyone anymore, it's been a calendar year, you're going to lose games like this. And you can't live on that edge. The Eagles have got to figure it out. We did the whole, hey, the Eagles are 10-1. It doesn't look right, but they're 10-1. Just win, baby thing last year. That's where we're at. That's where we'd still be at. We could spin it more positive tonight if the Eagles were 2-0. But at the end of the day, you would still be sitting here saying, man, back-to-back 1-score games. Why can the Eagles not just put it on somebody?
I think the biggest thing with last night is that there were so many 2023 vibes with the way it went down. The PTSD of last year's collapse was in full effect last night during postgame, and it has trickled into today. So I think everyone's kind of feeling that hangover from 2023, and it's brutal. A lot of us were really not a fan of Vic Fangio's defense. That philosophy, man, I have major concerns, and why I said I'm hitting the panic button. It's the pass rush. You spend so many assets there, and you've got a guy in Vic Fangio that's supposed to know what he's doing back there. Never made an adjustment. continue to go with a 4-man pass rush. And you look at the personnel, there were so many missed tackles. CJ Gardner-Johnson, 2 missed tackles. Zach Bond had 2. Darius Slay and Reed Blankenship had 3 missed tackles apiece. The tackling was horrible. No simulated pressures, no creativity, nothing. Like, it's just 2023 again, where we're watching this team and we're on halftime live. Me and Shane were like, what we need to see the Eagles do and adjust. We didn't see any of it. So that PTSD of 2023 is real, man.
Yeah, Dibes mentioned the pass rush. We'll get into defensive takeaways here. So Ryan or David, I'll throw it to you. I'll give Ryan a second to stew and think. David, give me your defensive takeaway from this game. What goes through your mind watching this defense? What do you think we can take away from it moving forward?
I mean, that was kind of my big picture takeaway as well. I think this is exactly the style of play you're going to see all year. I mean, this is just what he does. I don't think they're going to change a whole lot of what they're doing. Relying on some of the players to exceed what a lot of projections for them were, I think, was maybe a mistake. I mean, 2 months ago, Vic Fangio stated that Bryce Huff wasn't as good and wasn't where he should be, but that he's hoping he can get there. Nolan Smith, we all hoped would get there. Josh Sweat, we were hoping would play better. Every single thing was just a wish and a hope. And I don't know. I think they got exactly what they bargained for up front. I'm more interested in an offensive takeaway. We're still doing that, right?
Yeah, we'll get there. All right. I just launched into defense because Dibes took us there. So Ryan, what's your defensive takeaway? And then we'll get over to the offense.
Yeah, I think, I think we were kind of talked ourselves into thinking that this.
Hold on, timeout. Yeah.
This
is I gotta interrupt you to shout out this comment. Davey on YouTube says Ryan looks like he's having Vietnam flashbacks.
Ryan was at the game last night, and I don't even know how he's living right now. I don't.
That's hilarious. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, it was a long day. I basically woke up. I packed the car and went down there and tailgated all day and had a great time and. Whatever. But, looking at this defense, I think we fooled ourselves into thinking that we were able to fix not only the issues from last year, but what we lost from last year. And, obviously that's not the case. Obviously, this is going to be more of a 2, maybe even 3-year thing to get back to some semblance of a good defense. And listen, I think we all thought, hey, our secondary is much better, and it has been. I will give them their credit when due. And the linebackers didn't play bad either yesterday. I didn't think it was going to be so severe that this front 4 is hot garbage. I mean, it's like they get one block on them and then they just stop trying. I don't understand it. Again, I haven't looked at the game. I will at some point this week once the flashbacks stop. But I just, from what I saw in the stands, and again, I'm relatively close. It literally just looked like they just had no heart and didn't have any interest in taking down Kirk Cousins. So that needs to be fixed, and that to me is a coaching thing. That to me is a do you want to be out here? Do you want this bad enough? Well, they need to show it, and they're not showing it at all. And that goes for everybody, honestly. That goes for Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Huff, Sweat, whoever you want to throw in there. That goes for everybody. You are a unit, and right now you are the absolute worst unit on this football field, and you need to get better because the defense works in tandem with each other. The front needs to get to the quarterback so that way the defensive backs have an extra second to do this, and vice versa. And the linebackers, it all works together. And when one part is completely out of whack, the defense can't work.
They have a new defensive line coach in Clint Hurt as well, who's like a Fangio disciple. And I, I think that's part of the problem as well. And I said it before the season started, losing Kelsey was bad, but losing Fletcher Cox might be worse. And I think you're seeing some of the disciplinary issues. Jalen Hurts had to miss not Jalen Carter had to miss
Yeah.
the initial series of the game. I think you're seeing some immaturity because of there are not some of the veteran leaderships in that defensive tackle room.
Yeah. I'll shout out positive from the defense because we're way too negative. The chat vibe here, we're gonna bum the chat out. People are gonna turn off the podcast. Quinyon Mitchell. Now, the last drive for Quinyon Mitchell was rough, and I think and he owned that. He said that that first one he didn't carry the guy far enough vertical to read Blankenship, and there was a miscommunication between he and Blankenship later on that drive. I believe those are the only 2 receptions he allowed in the game. And, it's a rookie in his second game in a no-huddle situation where he's just having to react. He doesn't get a brief break between plays to think. It's understandable. I thought he played really well up until that last drive. That pass breakup he had early in the game on a 3rd and 5 was just teach tape for playing off coverage and click and close on make a play at the sticks. So I think the Eagles have a really good young cornerback in Quinyon Mitchell. And I think that's really exciting. So it's a huge bummer that the pass rush stunk and that the defense blows that game and how everything transpired. I do think Eagles fans can and should be very excited about Quinyon Mitchell because through 2 games, I've seen nothing to change my view that he was CB1 in the draft, and it's insane that he fell out of the top 10. So I'll continue to stand for Quinyon Mitchell until he proves me wrong. Now let's get Keely Ringo out there a little bit too, but that's a different point. Let's launch over into the offensive side of the ball. And David, I'll throw it over to you here first. What do you think about the offense when you're watching this game?
For the most part, I liked it. I mean, I thought Jalen Hurts was his demise as a rusher was grossly exaggerated. I think he looked very mobile, very, very good. His desperation interception to end the game doesn't really concern me that much. I'm more concerned with them not finishing off drives with touchdowns, getting to the red zone and not scoring a touchdown. But my biggest takeaway from the offense was the play of the night that everybody wants to second guess, which was that gamble on 3rd down with less than 2 minutes left. JFK once stated, "Victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan." And he said that for a reason, because that play call was not that bad of a play call. In fact, I think it was a good play call. Saquon makes that catch 95, if not more, out of 100 times. The play also has a built-in mechanism for Hurts to kneel and take the sack if Saquon is not wide open, which he was. And we just sat here and just destroyed the defense for the way they performed all night. I would much rather rely on the offense getting a game-winning catch or a touchdown, 1st down there, than relying on the defense to preserve it. So that's my big takeaway from the entire offense on the night.
All right. I disagree with that, but I won't argue with you on the podcast here. But yeah, I'll talk offensively though. I mean, I saw a lot of blame being put on like Jalen Hurts right after the game, and I just think that's crazy.
Agreed.
There were moments in this game where Jalen Hurts was the only thing that worked about the offense. And if you remove a desperation interception, which again, I understand, that's not a throw that he should make. He's getting hit. He can't throw it away. He's in the pocket. Maybe you should just take the sack probably and call the timeout. Maybe you get to a check down. You don't want that interception. The odds of getting into field goal range with 34 seconds is not that great. If you look at the last 4 drives of the game, excluding desperation time and technically excluding a kneel down with 5 seconds left in the first half, Jalen Hurts led the Eagles on a 70-yard touchdown drive, a 59-yard field goal drive, a 70-yard touchdown drive, and a 29-yard field goal drive. And both of those field goal drives, one of them should have been a touchdown. Again, throws off this much. Devontae Smith doesn't bring in a catch. He usually does. and you kick a field goal and then Saquon drops it. Like, the offense, you need to finish with touchdowns, but the offense did their job in this game. I thought Hurts played well, minus that interception at the end. And again, you can't discount that, but I also don't expect you to win a game when you get the ball back losing with 30 seconds left. So I thought it was a step forward for Hurts. I won't say from the offense. I was real disappointed that Goddard wasn't more involved. I was real disappointed that the passing game just didn't seem to function as well without Brown, which is expected. But I really thought we would see a little more from Jahan Dotson, see a little more from Dallas Goedert, and that didn't come to fruition. That's the thing I would be disappointed about offensively. It wouldn't be Jalen
Covey
Hurts'
having
game.
The second most targets on the night.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I'm good with that bubble screen once a game, maybe.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dives, I'll throw it to you. What was your offensive takeaway?
I kind of already talked about it. Like, you can just eliminate the RPOs and the QB draws from the offense. Like, it's just not doing anything. I mean, the design runs by Hurts looked excellent. Like, he looked incredibly more fast on those plays for whatever reason. I don't know why. I still didn't like some of the play calling, but overall, I agree, Shane. I thought the offense was fine. I think Hurts is getting a lot of slack for some reason. And I fully agree. I thought him creating with his legs was basically that, and Saquon's legs were the only thing that was working yesterday. The receivers were not creating separation. And I guess if I had to just boil it down to the RPOs and things like that, I'm not sure why it's so much more ineffective than like 2022, which we're hoping it gets back to that level. Is it the Cam Jurgens thing? I don't know, because he seems to get called every single time on it. But I think my takeaway is, did Dallas Goedert drop off a cliff? Is he he's not getting a lot of targets, and he's not dropping anything, but the fact that he was so uninvolved in the offense, I'm starting to question why.
Yeah. All right. Ryan, I'll throw it to you next. I'm desperately trying to look up a stat while you talk that goes along with what Dive says. So talk for a while.
Okay. Well, first, I will agree with David regarding that play call to Saquon. It just didn't work. He missed the ball. That was a perfect play call because everybody thinks you're going run here. He catches that. He might be able to get into the end zone. If not, he falls to the ground for a first down. Yeah, listen, I'm not throwing a lot of this off the offense, honestly. Yeah, you could look back and say, yeah, you should have taken the points when you had it. But that's again, that has been Nick Sirianni's kind of MO. He'll take chances. He's aggressive. So I'm not gonna bash him when sometimes it might not work. When it does work and praise him, then. So I thought, just like Dobbs, I thought the Hurts run game looked a lot better. For whatever reason, against Green Bay, I felt like they couldn't figure it out. But against Atlanta, it looked good. He looked strong. He looked quick. There were a lot of plays where he just bullied through people for first downs. As far as the targets, yeah, not gonna lie, Britton Covey thing kind of ticked me off. You have a guy who, let's be honest, has really never seen the actual football field on the offense for the most part. And he's, pretty much almost leading your team in targets. There's no way he should have more targets than Dallas Goedert. And Dives, I've kind of been saying it, that I don't think he's been that great. To be honest, I think we just completely overhyped Dallas Goedert because of game or two, or maybe this ability, that ability, but he can't ever put it together for a season. I mean, the man doesn't have more than 820, 830 yards in a season. And outside of that, he has one other 700+ year season. So I don't think he fell off a cliff. I just think he was born already in the gully. So I've never been that big of a fan of his. But yeah, the Jahan Dotson thing is also very strange. The simple fact that you went to him almost one of the first plays, and you didn't even go to him and even look his way the rest of the game. So, oh wow. But yeah, I feel like Covey is slowly turning into my Kenny Gainwell. Where I'm like, why does this man have the ball? Like, stop it! Like these aren't real NFL players.
I disagree with that.
Be special team. Go return my kicks. That's about all you're good for.
I'm fine with giving him a touch or two a game because in open space he can make some stuff happen. Okay, but I thought it was too much.
5, 6, 7 targets? No, thank you.
I think Kellen Moore's using him in the Cole Beasley role. And I think I didn't go to all the camps, but I went to a couple of them. And the hierarchy in which you're seeing the targets in the game is exactly how they were practiced. A.J. Brown was 1, Devontae Smith was 2, Britton Covey was 3. So I'm not that stunned by this. I think that he is put into that offense intentionally. And it's that Cole Beasley role or whatever you want to say that Kellen Moore has comfortable with, calling. But I think it is 100% intentional. And I'd also like to say Saquon Barkley was the best player on the field last night.
I don't like Cole Beasley either.
Me neither.
So
okay. There you go.
Here's my stat. Dives was talking about the RPOs. The Eagles have thrown 9 RPO passes this year. 4 were negated by ineligible man downfield penalties. And on the remaining 5, they're 2 of 5 for 10 yards. So 9 play calls for negative 10 yards overall.
Remember how good that was though with like Goddard and RPO and like in 2022, like that was one
before they started actually calling ineligible man downfield. It was nice when they let you break the rules in 2022. They don't do that anymore. So.
Also, that's league-wide now, too.
Rule. I hate that rule. And it's the dumbest rule. Like, oh, no, one of our fat guys went a couple feet forward. Like, who cares? No, who cares?
Yeah. All right, let's keep rolling here because we spent way too much time already. Do we need to assign player of the games for this, or should we just skip to matchups to watch?
Matchups.
All right. Well, let's jump into, since we spent so much time there, we'll just skip right into our top matchups to watch. So the Eagles, they're going to go play I almost said the St. Louis Rams, the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. First true road game, I guess you could say. Obviously, this is the international neutral field game, but it's not a great spot. The Rams, goodness. The Saints are on fire to start the year. We kind of waved our hands and said, after they annihilated the Panthers, but then they did the same thing to the Cowboys. So they have a plus 62 point differential through 2 games. The Eagles are going to play at the Superdome on a short week coming off of this loss. So it's a big spot for the Eagles. It's a rough spot for the Eagles. Dives, what is your top matchup to watch in this one?
Top matchup to watch. I mean, it's everything we just talked about. It's got to be the Eagles pass rush versus Derek Carr and the Saints offensive line. You look at Derek Carr as a guy that only dropped back 18 times in week 2, but was unstoppable. 12 of 17, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. On passes 10 yards or more, 5 of 6, 158 yards and a touchdown. This is an offense that's been absolutely electric through 2 games. They have an effective zone run game. They attack the middle of the field, unlike the Eagles of years. They utilize motion. They're not afraid to attack downfield. They've scored 40 points or more 2 straight games. They're efficient, and they have in week 2 they had 2 50-plus yard touchdowns. On top of that, the Saints' offensive line has been straight up dominant. We talk a lot about Talisi Fuaga during the draft process. He looks like a top 10 rookie right now. He is 9th best in the league among tackles with a 96% pass block win rate. You look at their center, Eric McCoy. He's the 12th best with a 97% pass block win rate among interior offensive linemen. They also got another guy, Lucas Patrick, 18th best. This is an offensive line that's 9th best in pass block win rate overall and 2nd best in run block win rate. So if you think the Eagles had their hands full with the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, you got another thing coming. The Saints offensive line is playing probably better, and they're more efficient, way more efficient than the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins. So that's got to be it. The pass rush finally showing some signs of life against a pass-protecting offensive line and a quarterback that's not afraid to let it rip.
We got a comment here from YouTube. Travis says the matchup to watch is Bryce Huff versus whoever the Saints backup tight end is. Also, guys, I hate to tell you all, but we're doomed because Q is in the chat here, and Q always picks the other team to win.
That's true.
He does this reverse psychology thing, and he says Miami was supposed to blow us out, and we beat them last year, and then in all caps, we're beating the Saints. And Quentin, you're breaking from tradition here. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to shock the system here and get it going. But on your point, Dives, Derek Carr's only been pressured this year on 23.8% of his dropbacks. That's the lowest rate in his career since 2018. The Saints have also used play action on 45% of their dropbacks. And so I think you're going to see a lot of running. You're going to see a lot of play action. My matchup to watch is along the same line, so I'll cover it. It's the Eagles' defensive line against Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is on a heater to start the year. And the Saints' offense has been awesome, but Derek Carr hasn't really been asked to do a lot. I mean, if you go look at their last game, I think he completed like 11 or 12 passes for almost 300 yards. The Cowboys were giving up explosive play after explosive play on play action. And it's paramount the Eagles can slow down this rushing attack. And that takes an entire shift in philosophy from this last game. The Eagles almost exclusively played nickel, and they had their defensive end in wide 9 alignment. So outside where a tight end would be, and just gave huge surface area for outside zone rushing attack. That's got to change. If I was game planning for this game, I would live in 5 down fronts and make Derek Carr shoulder the volume of a passing attack. That's how I would do it. And the plus side is, if they do decide to throw it theoretically with a 5-man front, of course you can always bail somebody out into coverage, but you should get 5 one-on-ones. Jalen Carter doesn't get double teamed every snap like he was last game. Heck, some snaps they double teamed Jalen Carter and Milton Williams, and they just used a tight end to block Josh Sweater, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweater, Bryce Huff. And so I would get a lot of 5 down fronts out there, really focus on stopping the run and just try to make Carr do it through the air. Maybe he can, probably he can, but I know for a fact Alvin Kamara will shred the defense if the fronts roll out the same way that they did a week ago. So that's my matchup to watch. It's what I would really like to see the Eagles do. Ryan, I'll throw it to you next. What's your top matchup to watch in this game?
Depression. Watch out for it. It's a real deal. Now, I apologize. I just think I don't know. I think our whole defense versus Alvin Kamara. Honestly, I think he just is shown so far this year that he is back to being old Alvin Kamara, and I mean scoring at will. Just I think more specifically it'll be our linebackers because of the way that Kamara is able to be activated in the passing game, on screens and tiny outs and whatnot. That's where he shines. He could catch a ball 5 yards into the backfield and boom, 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 he's 50 yards up the field in a blink of an eye. And our linebackers need to be very aware of that. In fact, I'd be perfectly fine with them just solely focusing on where's Alvin Kamara. The rest, figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. I would also like to say that the NFL is weird, and that this definitely is one of those times where I couldn't agree with Q more. And I just have a weird feeling we're going to come and win ugly. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, if you manage to go on the road and win ugly on a short week against a team that's hot without your number one receiver, we could be pretty happy about that. So
Sure.
Hopefully you're right on that one. David, what's your top matchup to watch here?
I'm getting a little bit ahead of the show with saying I agree with Quentin. I do think the Eagles are going to beat the Saints, but they're going to have to do it with their offense. As Shane mentioned, the Eagles are not likely to get to Carr often. They are also not likely to stop the Saints' rushing attack. The Saints have rushed for 370 yards in the first two games, and the Eagles have given up 315. That is not a recipe for success right there. But what the Eagles are built to do is they're supposed to be an offensive juggernaut. And with A.J. Brown out or not, it doesn't really matter. So my matchup was Jalen Hurts versus the Saints defense. And he's got his work cut out for him. The Saints are playing really good. I mean, they already have 4 interceptions in 2 games. They're only allowing 3.1 yards per carry, which is second best in the NFL. So Jalen Hurts is going to have to protect the ball. He's going to have to take his time in the pocket to allow plays and routes to develop. He's going to have to spread the ball around. He's going to have to get Dallas involved. And he's going to have to run like he did versus the Falcons when there isn't a play to be made via, the air. So I think this is the kind of game that he shows the NFL that he can win a game instead of just manage a game. Long drives, smart play calling from Kellen Moore that I think was there for some of the game, not all of it last night. But 21 points for this offense is not acceptable. And I think they will exceed that next Sunday at 1 p.m.
We have a comment real quick that Derek Carr is one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure. I do want to make a note that Derek Carr this season, when he's under pressure and when blitzed, he's 16 of 22 with a 70% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, an interception, and a QB rating of about 140. So I don't know about Derek Carr of years past, but it's not it.
All right, let's get into our picks of the week. We're going to start off with our player of the game prediction. For our player of the game prediction, it is not scored because we all picked somebody different just to give us different guys to talk about. And then we'll do all our prop bets and stuff that is scored. So Dives, click back over to tab 2 there. How did our scores shake out? How are we doing overall? It looks like
Rob got player of the game. I gave it to Hurts. Is there any disagreement with that?
No, not for me, but we're not scoring player of the game. So
I thought we did.
No, because we all have to pick somebody different.
Okay.
For it. So it looks like Rob got 5 of the prop bets. Dives got 6 of the prop bets. Ryan hit on 2. I only hit on 1. Wow. And David hit on 2. And so Dives is out to a lead. He's got 12. And then the rest of us are at 9 or 8. So let's get into the week 3 picks here. We'll start with player of the game. Dives, I'll give it to you first. Who's your player of the game prediction for the Saints game?
Jesus Christ. I feel like
he's a good guess.
Great.
I gotta say I'm gonna go Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, there's been a couple times where he's almost had a pick so far. I think if the Eagles are going to win against the Saints, they're going to win the turnover battle. Give me Quinyon Mitchell as player of the game, as a guy that plays really well and, keeps momentum on the Eagles side.
All right. So Quinyon Mitchell for Dibes. Ryan, who do you have for player of the game?
I'm going to go Saquon. I thought he had a pretty decent game last week, I should say. I think he finds the end zone. So,
all right. Saquon Barkley is the pick for Ryan. Dibes, who do you have for player of the game?
I already did mine. I did Quinyon.
Sorry, I meant David. There's a D. There's two Ds. David. Sorry, David. Who do you have for player of the game?
Jalen Hurts.
Smart.
For every reason I just stated.
All right. I will take Alvin Kamara. Everything I saw from the Eagles' run defense in this game just makes me think that Alvin Kamara will probably rush for 150 yards unless the Eagles make some adjustments.
Which they won't.
That hasn't been a strong suit over the years. So I think, not saying the Eagles can't win, I think regardless, Alvin Kamara is probably going to have a big game.
Can I propose a rule change?
What's that?
Since I'm picking defense, can I go Eagles DB instead of Quinyon?
Sure.
Is that cool?
I
position group of the game is.
Yeah.
No, but at defense, if you're gonna be so bold, and I use bold in quotations, to pick a defensive player on this defense, as somebody said in the chat. Yeah, sure. Get the whole group, man.
And the stat doesn't even count.
At this point,
the pick doesn't even matter. Go bold, Dodds. Just take one.
Yeah, we're not. This is calling your shot, man. We don't score this. Go Quinyon or bust.
I'm good. I'll go Quinyon.
I'm surprised you're not going like Big Dom.
I'm just saying, given how bad this defense has been, like it should be basically individual offensive players versus the field of the defensive field.
What a change from last year when you picked Jalen Carter every week.
Every single time.
Every time.
All right, well, let's get into our score predictions. David, what do you have?
Score prediction, 29-27 Eagles.
All right, David's going with the Eagles in a close one, 29-27. I've got
4. There you go.
There you go. I'll go Saints 31-21. So no, sorry, 27-21.
Wait, 37-21?
27-21. 27-21. There we go. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
I'm gonna go Eagles 23-21.
All right. Dives, who do you have winning this game? What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go Saints. I'll go 34-20.
All right. And the over-under is set at 49.5 points. It looks like it puts Ryan and I on the under. It puts Dives and David on the over. So let's go over under Jalen Hurts total turnovers at 1.5. Ryan, what do you got?
I'm going under.
All right. Under 1.5. I will also take the under. We went from 2 to 1. This is the 0 turnover game, but I definitely don't think we get to 2, even if we get 1. So I'll take the under. David, what about you?
Under.
All right. Under. I guess that makes sense if Jalen Hurts is your player of the game prediction.
Yes.
Dives, what do you have?
Over.
All right.
I feel like the Eagles are going to be passing a lot more Jalen, throwing into coverage. Go over.
Yeah, see, I also think this could be a shortened game, kind of like last night, especially if the Saints run the ball as much as I think they might. Yeah. Over under Dallas Goedert total receptions at 3.5. Dives, what do you got?
Oh, Jesus Christ. This one makes me frustrated. I'm going to go slight over.
All right. Ryan, over or under?
I'm gonna go under. He sucks.
I thought it was really surprising that Grant Calcaterra had 2 catches before Dallas got a target.
You got a target. I know. I think Calcaterra forgot he was only supposed to be in there to block.
Yeah, I'll take the over. As slow of a start as it was, he still had 3 receptions last week. I would imagine that's a focal point. It's like we've got to get Goddard more involved, especially assuming, which I think I saw that A.J. Brown is going to be out again. So I'll take the over. David, what do you have?
Over. Maybe double that line. Definitely over.
Ooh.
Wow.
All right. Saquon versus Alvin Kamara. Who has more yards, David?
Rushing or total? Total? Okay, total.
Total.
Kamara by a
by
little.
the way, real quick, Saquon versus Bijan, whatever, was like within like a few yards apart. That was super close.
I think this will be too, but I think Kamara, because they just utilize him, he is more utilized in their offense.
Yeah. Robinson had 6 more yards than Saquon last week. I will also take the over. I'll also take Kamara. I think Kamara will have more yards as well. Ryan, what about you?
Well, listen, I think if I had picked anybody else for my play of the game, I would be right there with you. But I feel like I gotta toe the line here, and I'm gonna say Saquon.
All right, and Dibes, who do you have?
Oh, it's Kamara.
I mean, for my fantasy team, I hope it's Kamara.
All right, over under Eagles total sacks 1.25 is an interesting line for that. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I see what you did because we did quarter sacks for individual players because a player could get a half sack. That makes sense. Dibes, over under 1.25 sacks for the Eagles.
Under.
All right, Ryan?
Under.
I will also take the under. I don't have a lot of faith in the pass rush in this one. I also just, again, don't think the Saints are going to throw the ball a lot. David, what about you?
Over.
Over. All right. Over under Alvin Kamara total touchdowns 2.5. Dibes, what do you got?
This one's hard. I'm gonna go under, just barely.
All right, Ryan. Ryan,
even our man Anthony's saying Ryan looks so defeated.
I know.
Ryan, you got over under.
Sorry, it's a combination of just being so damn tired. I didn't get home till like 1:30. It was just a long day, and then for that to happen at the end. I'm going on under here. I mean, to think somebody's going to have 4 touchdowns and then get 3 the next game, that's insanity. So
You're going under?
Yeah, I'm going under. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll take under as well. I don't think he gets 3 touchdowns. David.
That is wild, by the way.
Yeah, so we're all under on that one. Over under Derek Carr passing yards 219.5. David, you go first this time.
Under.
All right. I'm also taking the under. I again don't think they're going to throw a lot. So under for me. Ryan.
Yeah, I'll go under.
All right, Dibes.
Yep, under.
All right, so we are all in agreement on the last couple there. So makes it hard for me to gain points on Dibes when he's picking the same thing as the rest of us, but it is what it is. So, I'm just saying, but Dibes is already strategically making his picks here. But
yeah, sure is. We got to go to him first.
Oh, we did the first time, but yeah, we'll start doing it every
I
time.
love this comment. What's the over under on Bryce Huff pancaking himself?
He did it on the first pass rush rep of the game.
So funny.
Yes.
Yeah. So all right.
He's been more on the ground than in the backfield, I feel like, through 2 games.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, considering he's not been in the backfield at all. So, God,
all right. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for this very depressing episode of Birds of the Roundtable. Promise you guys next week, regardless of the result, the game won't have been played late on a Monday night, so we won't be so depressing. So,
yes, guaranteed.
You guys come hang out with us again next time, because it'll be more fun regardless of the result, but hopefully it'll be an Eagles win. Before we get out of here, I'll throw it around the horn. Dibes, tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on, any final thoughts. You know the drill.
Mr. Crockpot right there. If you love the NFL draft, I put out like roughly 10 shorts a week on winners of the week with college football, standouts, guys you should know about. And if you love the NFL draft, we're going live in just a few minutes with another show talking college football week 4. It is my favorite part of the week. So be sure to hang with us. We'll be going live in a different live stream. So thank you, everyone, for commenting. The comments were awesome. And I appreciate the therapy session, fellas.
All right. Ryan, plug your stuff, man. What you got going on?
Yeah, you can follow me right here as you just took it away.
We got a comment here that says you can find Ryan at your nearest bar talking to his therapist, or you can find him on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Either one,
or that. And I am currently looking for new therapists, although I don't have one currently. But anyway, yeah, Mondays normally Mondays instead of tailgating all day, I normally do football smack talk show at 6:00 on EOP, and then Party on Broad with this guy at 9:00. But yeah, can't wait for Armchair Scouts coming up right next. And then, of course, on Sundays, again with this guy, I swear I just can't get rid of him. We talk more college football. It's absolutely great. I love talking nothing but football. It's amazing. And also, I would like to shout out the chat. You guys were really funny. I don't think I smiled all day, so I appreciate it. Even though you guys are wildly crazy and just all that. So,
our fans are the best, man. They are the best.
Yeah.
By the way, I love Brian jumping on the Cam Ward train, man. All aboard.
All right, David, plug your stuff, man. Tell the people where they can find you.
The Zach Bond comments we just got are the exact reason I went over on the sacks, because I do think he will get 1 or 2 sacks in this game. You can find everything I write at PHL Eagle News, everything I post. And to end on a more positive note, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Eagles all lost. The NFL is difficult. There is a lot of competition. It's just not going to be like it was, that where teams just dominate over and over and over. They're not that many Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid combinations in the league, man. There's a lot of parity, and the sky is not falling. They're 1-1. They had a bad week.
Oh, I thought it sounded like that was like a breath, and you were going to keep going. So I did not. I botched that.
I botched to like stand on his chair and do that.
Yeah,
speech.
I botched that transition, and that's my bad. But yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse. As Anthony,
Anthony's right here. The NFL is weird. It always is weird. One team will get blown out, and then the next week they'll get blown out. Like it's yin and yang, fellas.
Yin and yang. It's funny. Like big picture wise, I think the Eagles' offensive line is going to be great.
Agreed.
On the other side, it's just the Eagles' pass rush and the defensive line. I on one end with the O line, I am ecstatic. I can't wait with Mekhi Becton, and I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler. And on the other end, like this could be one of the worst pass rushes in football
history.
I think you might
we were ending positive, Ryan. Good.
I think you might be
All right,
going a little too far.
I mean-
Somebody mute Ryan's mic for me here, and I'll get us out of here. Yeah, thank you guys all for joining in the show, hanging out in the chat. We enjoy hanging out with you guys each and every week, regardless of the result of the game. It's fun to hang out in the chat. So kudos to you guys for jumping in here tonight. Follow all of these guys on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribed to the Eagles Pinpool Network. We got lots of stuff coming out for you guys. I wrote an article that I published on Twitter today titled "Third Down Decision Making and Fourth Down Aggressiveness," where I lay out the case that the Eagles mismanaged the end of game situation and go into the analytics behind it, and even all the way back to the decision to go for it early in the game. I think it was on the second drive, which resulted in a turnover and downs. How it's just an inconsistent approach where the Eagles are trying to ride the fence between aggression and conservative, and that's the worst possible place that you can be. It's better to pick a side. So if you're confused with all of this stuff and why David says, man, that was the right decision, and why I say, no, that was a bad decision, go read it. I think I lay out a case there. You at least understand my side without me dragging the whole showdown with it, but go check that out. And while you're there, just click that follow button on Twitter, and it'll help us all out. So we're going to get out of here. We'll catch you guys next week for another episode. Dare I say, a victory edition of Birds of the Roundtable. Go Birds.